What's good, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. Y'all, Bravo is busy. Okay, you cannot tell me that Bravo is not working behind the scenes to get the the housewives out, right? For the content and the reviews. Baby, the YouTubers have been working. I know I took a little time off, but your girl is back at it, okay? Because these Bravo streets, either the housewives are getting locked up, okay, or getting let out. So Jen Shah from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, if you guys have been keeping up with her, and I have periodically, her release date has consistently been pushed up. And her picture on the left is when she participated in a prison beauty pageant. And then here we have on the right, she's working out, getting in shape. I think Teresa Giudice from New Jersey, she said that when she was behind bars, she got really into fitness and yoga and things like that. So that's a good way to, utilize your time behind bars. So her her release date is next month. It's in a few weeks. I was like, oh my gosh, December 10th will be here before you know it. So let's get into this article from ABC News. It says former Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah, who is currently serving time for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, will be released early from prison on December 10th, according to a source familiar with the plans. Shah was sentenced in 2023 to 6.5 years in prison, and so she only did two. Oh my gosh. In connection with a telemarketing fraud case. Her previous early release date was set for August 30th, 2026. Okay, that was the last one I heard. I thought it was, next year, because that's not even half her sentence. After she has had her sentence reduced twice for good behavior. I'm seriously wondering, just a side note here, I really want to know if Andy Cohen and Bravo and NBC Universal are pulling some strings behind the scenes, because her release date has been pushed up to where she didn't even serve half of her sentence. And if you guys are familiar with Jen Shah's case at all, she basically stole a lot of money from elderly people. And it's unfortunate because, once you get a certain point, I think that she was like, scamming them out of like their social security, their life savings. Like once you hit, like over 65, 70, you don't have the earning potential to get that money back, right? Like not only is your body frail, but your lifespan is pretty much spent. And so it's like, that is so insidious and, a horrible thing to do. And I'm thinking to myself, she didn't even serve half her sentence. Like, um, Karen Huger, she served, I think, was half, like 6 months out of the year. She was, sentenced to 2 years. One was suspended, but she only served half of that. Hopefully, she's learned from that and won't repeat that same mistake with her fourth DUI. So hopefully, she won't gain a fifth one. But again, I feel like Bravo is working behind the scenes for content and views and, to kick up ratings for their shows. I mean, it's working, but I'm really surprised at Jen Shah's release date being so early, because it had already gotten reduced, multiple times. So for her to get out in a few weeks, that's really surprising. The former reality TV star is serving her time at FPC Bryan, a minimum security federal prison camp in Texas, where Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes and Ghislaine Maxwell, an associate of deceased convict sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, are also serving their time. From what I hear, this is like almost like a rehab center, or like a not like a Club Med type of thing, but very, minimum security, where, like they're sending all these rich and famous women and they're letting them out extremely early. It's unclear if Shah will be released from prison to a halfway house or directly home. I've never heard of that. That's another thing. I've never heard of anyone not having to go to a halfway house first. This is a really interesting case. A Bureau of Prisons spokesperson declined to comment to ABC News about Shah's release, citing privacy, safety, and security reasons. Shah pled guilty in July 2022 to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and was ordered to forfeit $6.5 million after she previously pled not guilty. She was also ordered to pay restitution to the victims of the nationwide telemarketing scheme that prosecutors said targeted elderly, vulnerable victims. Federal prosecutors had requested that Shah serve 10 years in prison. The defense said she should serve no more than 3. She didn't even do what her defense attorney recommended. Wow. At the time of her sentencing, Shah apologized for bringing, quote, shame, embarrassment, and pain to her family and broke down when she said to her youngest son, Omar, Mommy is so sorry for the trauma that you endured when you were woken up at Pow Pow. At Somebody held a Pow Pow to him on the day of her arrest. Oh my gosh. When Shaw promised at her sentencing to repay every cent, the judge interrupted to ask, how do you intend to do that? And Shaw answered at the time, I plan that when I'm out of prison to use my platform and raise money that way. I hope that I'm able to work again. A spokesperson for Shaw did not immediately respond to ABC News. So, wow. So somebody took out their frustrations on her youngest son, Omar, and held him up at, Pow Pow point. I can't say it on YouTube, but you guys get it. That is so sad. It's one thing to run, the scam, because a lot of housewives now are getting caught up in scams, like, Wendy and Eddie Asifo with the insurance fraud. Mia just got arrested recently with um larceny, right? Stealing over $11,000 of furniture. But it's another thing to put your children in danger, because that's what Jen did. Like, somebody actually took out their frustrations on her son. And it really makes you think, like, before you, because this was a nationwide scam that Jen had run for years, um, defrauding and scamming all these elderly people. But everyone reacts to things differently, and especially now. I mean, and that's what I mean when I say I think that Bravo might be behind the scenes trying to get these housewives out of these, sentences, because of a recession indicator. Like, I feel like our economy is consistently plummeting, and a lot of, like, Great Depression recipes have come back. Like, people are talking about, hamburger helper is being, it's being bought at rates that it hasn't been in previous years, since, like, the Great Depression or something, or, like, since recently. I don't think they had that, but I do know, like, they said, like, water pie, where people would put, like, water and sugar in, like, a pie crust and eat that. That recipe has been circulating. Franken beans, and listen, do what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, we saw a lot of people in food lines, um, or lines in food banks, and those lines were, like, wrapped around the corners of some places when they initially had cut, SNAP benefits. And my heart just broke, because some people were out there, with their children. It was cold. The holidays are coming up soon. And it's really sad. But I do know that, um, a lot of changes are being made. A lot of layoffs are happening. And so I really do hope that, Jen is able to get her job back at Bravo, to pay restitution to these victims, and, make things right with her family, with her son, get him the therapy that he needs after experiencing that, because that's, like, life altering trauma, to be held up by somebody who's frustrated at something that you didn't even have any control over. You can't control what your parents do. You know what I mean? Parents can actually shape their children and raise them, correctly, and instill, values and morals in them. But if Jen Shah's parents didn't do their job, that's not their children's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take it out on the baby. Not that he's a baby, but I mean, her baby, that is ridiculous. But that's the real world. I mean, when you take somebody's life savings, it not only affects that elderly person, it affects their families as well. But I'm really surprised, I have to be honest, how fast Jen is being let out. And I mean, like when I first read this, I was like, oh my gosh, that's next month. You know what I mean? Like my like almost woke my dog up because just the other day, from what I heard just recently, she was going to stay in there at least until next August, until, August 2026. And now it's like, oh, now she's getting released in a few weeks. So I don't know, like I said, what's going on. Um, but it may be, a scheme that Andy set up to get the ratings and the content and the viewers talking about Jen Shah. That she might be, needed on Salt Lake City. Who knows? But she'll be out December 10th. I'll keep you guys updated. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.